December 7th, 1941, a date which will live in infamy.
Waco recognized the 80th anniversary of Pearl Harbor today at the Doris Miller Memorial. More than 2,400 Americans were killed and over 1,000 were wounded on this day in 1941. Many people prayed, sang, and laid wreaths today to remember those heroes. Former U.S. Congressman Chet Edwards also arranged to have that flag that flew over Congress during President Obama's inauguration delivered to the park.
The wish is that it will be flown next December the 7th for 1 year, as the flag flies 1 year and then is changed. So next December the 7th, this flag that we've just been presented with will be flown over the Doris Miller Memorial.
The city hopes to bring back a Pearl Harbor event each year at the memorial. And his name is well known here in Central Texas, but who is Doris Miller? As Japanese pilots rained terror down on American forces, Miller helped several sailors who were wounded, all while manning an aircraft machine gun, something he had no training on, his actions earning him the Navy Cross. Today, his family says 80 years later, it's incredible to see his memory live on and his story continuing to inspire others.
For me, growing up, I've known the man Doris Miller behind the scenes. I'm hearing the stories from my great-grandmother to the Doris Miller that people know in the history books. And so to be able to be here and speaking at this moment is really touching to me, and it really inspires me and my children to do more.
And each time it's just more exciting to know that they're still keeping his name and what he did abreast.
The Miller family came from all over the state and say every year when they come back, the memorial for him is even grander.
As the nation remembers the attack on Pearl Harbor, the Bush Library and Museum in College Station doing its part today. Caldwell resident and Pearl Harbor survivor Horace Hamilton stood up from his wheelchair to place a large, fresh wreath at the gravesite of George and Barbara Bush earlier. Hamilton and other vets honoring the 50th anniversary of the George Bush Presidential Library and Museum.
Get the word out to the young people nowadays, what happened, and try to preserve it for history so that it won't happen again.
Hamilton had been aboard the light cruiser, the USS Phoenix, during that attack. The ship narrowly missed getting a lot of damage. Former President Bush served as a torpedo bomber in the Pacific Campaign during World War II. Another local hero who really needs no introduction in Central Texas was J.C. Alston. He died just about 7 weeks ago at age 98. He was aboard the USS California on that Sunday morning and lived to tell about it. He became one of the area's better-known vets, and his granddaughter sat down with us just before Veterans Day to honor his life.
You've been through an experience like he had, that nothing's more important than living every day to the fullest.
This morning, he was honored at the National Museum of the Pacific, or the Admiral Nimitz Museum in Fredericksburg. His family and close friends were on hand as part of a larger dedication and ceremony.
80 years have passed since Pearl Harbor, and each year there are fewer and fewer survivors of the attack. Jim Hummel was lucky enough to find Joe Richard and talk to him about the day that would live in infamy.
It's been a little while, you know. It's a few years since that happened. 80 years. That was the saddest part.
One of those who was killed during the attack was Texas native and Navy seaman, second class Charles L. Saunders. Saunders was on the USS Oklahoma when it was attacked. This morning, Saunders finally had his burial in Winnie. His body was recovered shortly after the attack, but he wasn't identified until February.